Does life have you in the autopilot status?
Dim light on the table, tea gone lukewarm, slow. I count my own footsteps just to let my mind go. I used to raise the mirror, now I let it speak. There's a truth in the quiet that's been waiting for me. I don't need a big sign, I just need a clear lane. One deep breath, one honest name, and I come back again. Late night thoughts, I'm not lost, I'm just here. Late night thoughts, choosing joy, choosing clear. I slow it down, I let it land. I hold my life in open hands. Late night thoughts, and I'm still here.
Hey, Joy Chasers. I want to start our late night conversation on being on autopilot. I've been kind of thinking about this for a while, and probably, I'm not going to say for a while. I have been thinking about this since the beginning of this week as I was kind of going into the weekend. And when I looked at people, you know how you can people watch? When you look at people on social media and television, and just people in real life just moving each and every day, I realized that it's easy for us to be on autopilot, for your life to be on autopilot. And when it is on autopilot, you don't even realize that it's there. You really don't. And the reason I've been thinking about it, because being a joy chaser is how I've learned to move through life. Because remember, joy is internal. And by the way, y'all, I'm drinking chai tea tonight. It's late. And this is when I really get into my hobbies and get into my thoughts. And I'm still working on this one. So that last late night thought that we had, I was working on happy looks good on you. Happy looks good on me. I'm still working on it. And normally it'll take me about a couple months to finish, because I just take my time when I'm doing it. So that's what I'll be working on as we kind of talk about this thought of being on autopilot and what the real meaning of being a joy chaser is, and how you will then, once you get it, live your life unapologetic. And that's what it's all about. When I say that being a joy chaser is how I learned to move through life, the reason I say that, because I know the other way. I know the other way, and I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that. When I say I've lived the other way, I mean, I was on autopilot just like everybody else. Like when I just was looking around at different people and how they're moving Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, repeat. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on and so on. Sunday, repeat. When you think about that, it's truly autopilot. It truly is. So what we need to do is begin to have that talk, because I don't think, we talk about it enough. I really don't. For me, being on autopilot it doesn't have to be something that's negative, because it doesn't look like it's negative. It looks to most people like everything is okay. Everything is right. You're responsible. You are dependable. You show up. You get things done when you need to get it done. So all those things go on when you're on autopilot. And the best thing about it is when you're on autopilot, people are proud of you. And not to say that if you're not on autopilot that they're not, but that's when you get all your really, really big recognitions. But are you connected to life when you're on autopilot? Just because you're responsible, dependable, showing up, getting things done, and people are proud of you does not mean that you're connecting to life. And when I think about it like that, I go back to following the yellow brick road. You're just following a path, doing what you think you're supposed to do. And that is how we've always been taught. From the time we were little to the time we hit 18, and then going into young adulthood, then going on to mature adulthood, and then the light bulb comes on. Then the light bulb comes on, and you're like, ooh, no more autopilot. I need to live for me. I need to move how life tells me to move, not what everybody else is doing. Not beginning to, follow that yellow brick road. And a lot of people follow the yellow brick road. And I always talk about that, because when I tell you that I was on autopilot and I followed the yellow brick road, whatever was there that someone said was good for me, that's exactly what I did. I just did it. I was on autopilot. And then I had to ask myself, was I really, living? Did I really know, who I was? Or was I just maintaining life? Something to think about. So ask yourself that. Are you just maintaining life, or are you actually living? Do you know who you are? Those are my thoughts, y'all. Those are truly my thoughts. And at night like this, when it's quiet in the house, I truly start digging into that and really saying, like, what is a joy chaser? Am I truly living out that joy chaser experience, or am I just on autopilot? Well, I know for me, I can only speak for me. I know that I'm not on autopilot anymore. I was, but I'm not anymore. Because right here, happy looks good on me. And I want the Joy Chaser community to feel the same way. For happy to look good on you too. That's a big thought. So when you really ask yourself, are you on autopilot? Think about it. Is other people on autopilot with you? Are they even asking you, how are you doing? Are you on autopilot? So if you're on autopilot, the people around you are on autopilot. I guess you could say we're all on autopilot until someone breaks the cycle and say, no, I'm not on autopilot anymore. I'm a joy chaser. My other thought is, am I actually enjoying my life? Yes. We live in a world, when you really think about this thing, we live in a world where productivity is praised. Busy is praised. But nobody really checks in on whether you're actually enjoying your life. No one. You go to work, you're praised or you're reprimanded. You come home, you praise your family for whatever they're doing, they praise you, and you keep moving. You go out in the world, someone says, oh girl, you look so cute. And they keep it moving. No one's really asking you, hey, are you enjoying your life? Because if they did, what would be your answer? I can answer mine now. Once I really got it at 48, I can really answer now. But I couldn't before. And as I was thinking about this thought tonight, I am always looking at, things that is going to keep my brain moving and asking questions and diving deep. And I came across something recently that made me pause.
Money and pleasure and health are nothing more than the means by which we build a meaningful existence. But of course, in the grip of this late capitalist culture, these means have become ends. Money, pleasure, and health, instead of supporting a life of noble purpose, have become the ultimate purposes of life. So we're endlessly optimizing our lives, but for what? In developed countries, we're like the most pampered and comfortable group of zombies ever.
When I heard that, I was sitting there on my couch, right over there. And when I heard that, I had to sit with it because that's exactly what autopilot feels like. It's not that you're doing nothing. It's that you're doing everything without a connection. We don't have connections anymore. We're lonely. You can be in a room with someone, laughing, smiling, and not connecting with them. Because you know what? You're on autopilot. You're thinking about what you got to do when you get home. You're thinking about what you got to do at work. You're thinking about what those kids got to do, how you got to get them in bed. If somebody had something that you needed to reprimand them for, you had a lot of thoughts going on in your head. And the person that's next to you, they got those same thoughts. They got those same thoughts. So then they're on autopilot too. It's no type of connection at all. And what we normally do is we are taught to be productive from the time we were in school. And I kind of think about when I taught school and when I was a vice principal. When I taught school, we had to make sure that the kids were productive. They were constantly doing what they needed to do to grow and make sure that they had the knowledge that they need for the next level of whatever grade they were in. When I was a vice principal, my job was to teach the teachers how to implement certain things into their classroom in order to make sure that the kids pass the test in order for us to be productive and get the accolades of whatever we needed to get for that school year. we've always been, from the time we start school until the day you die, we've always been taught to be productive. And nothing, I'm not going to say that something's wrong with that, because it's not. But being productive and being on autopilot, you're not really enjoying your life. Modern life will have you so busy, maintaining a life that you don't even realize, when you are basically disconnected from it. And that is what autopilot really is. It's not being lazy, it's being disconnected. Yeah, that's what it is. It's being disconnected to what is going on with you as an individual and the life that you want to live. And you may say, well, I'm living the life that I want to live. But are you? Are you living that life? I got all the materialistic things that I want in life. Is that what life is to you? Yeah. And as we talk about this, I remember there was a moment, I think it was around 2011 for me. And I was staying in my same house that I stay in right now. And I walked outside in my backyard. And I looked up at the sky. And I started to talk. I started to talk to God. And I asked God at that time, I said, tell me what my purpose is. Help me to realize what I'm here on this earth to do, to accomplish, how to live my life with joy. I actually did that. Because I didn't know. I was confused. And not that anything was wrong. There wasn't nothing wrong with my life. I had my job. I was doing well. I was moving up, getting promotions. I had my family, my 2 kids, my husband. I was living life, but I wasn't fulfilled inside. Something was missing. Something was missing. And as I continued to, look up at the sky and kind of just talk to God, I said, show me, why I'm here. Tell me what my purpose is. Tell me how to live joy. Now, I'm not going to say, and you already know, that it wasn't a loud answer that came down from the sky and said, joy, this is what you need to do. That, did not happen. But I can say something after I said that little prayer and I asked for guidance from the Most High to help me to figure this out. Something, shifted in me. It truly did. And that's when, I realized that joy is not something that just happens. It's something you have to choose. You have to protect. It is something that is intentional. Joy is an action. It's an action. I always say these words: faith without works is dead. So went outside and asked God to help me to realize what my purpose was in life. And I could have just went on back in and just be like, okay, well, he's just going to tell me. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait. Let him tell me. No, it don't work like that. It does not work like that. If you know anything about, God and being spiritual, it didn't work like that. Faith without works is dead. Joy is an action. So now joy, me personally, have to show an action to receive joy internally. So what I really did was I started to pay attention to what I said yes to, what I gave my energy to, because if you are not careful, life will fill your time up for you. So you got to take control of your life. You have to be that person that really say, hey, you know what? No, I cannot do that today. Or, hey, I want to do this instead. Or, I just need to rest. You have to do that. And then you have to start then depending on yourself to live the life that you want. I really had to get real about living the life that I want. And the reason I had to get real about that, because then I had to put everybody out there, everybody that was in my life, and figure out who deserves access to my peace. Now that wasn't hard for me, because everybody does not deserve access to your peace, to your joy. Not at all. I had to stop letting people and even, situations get into my thoughts, because it put me back in that state of being in autopilot. And like I said, I started that in 2011. Now, it's 2026. And from 2011 until I was 48, I don't know what that year that was. Maybe 2020. I don't know. I don't know what year that was. But anyway, I can say from that time to me being 48, it took practice. And I stumbled. And I fell back into autopilot. And I followed the yellow brick road a little bit more. And then, I hit those 40s, because 2011, I think I was in my late 30s. And then I hit those 40s. Life hit me again. Autopilot again. And then I was like, enough is enough. And then, when I turned 48, I was like, I am a joy chaser through and through. And I have never looked back since then. So from 48 to now, and being 53 in a couple weeks, I'm there. And when you get there, you realize that no one can take that joy away. And again, it made me also think about another thing that I heard, and that really stayed with me.
I think joy is different from happiness. I feel like happiness is something you can get at 7-Eleven, and joy is something that you earn and work for and takes practice. I feel like joy has legs. I feel like joy has feet. I feel like joy has roots. I feel like joy creates space and allows room for more than just a good day. I think joy is an attitude. I think joy is a perspective. And I think joy is a lens through which I live and look at my life.
Now, that really stayed with me. When I heard that, it stayed with me because joy doesn't just show up. It requires something from you. It requires your awareness, your honesty, your intention. It requires you to pause and just say, whew, I'm going to love who I am, and I'm not going to let anybody take that joy away. And I think sometimes that we don't choose joy because we are on autopilot. That's why we don't choose it. You're so into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, repeat. And start that over again. Repeat. Repeat. Years and years and years and years and years go by. And I'm guilty of it myself. Not anymore, but I was very guilty of it, where years went by and I didn't choose joy. I didn't feel like I understood it. And so I was just, on autopilot. And a lot of people are just that way. Most times we've spent time pouring into everyone else. And again, that's okay if that's what you like. But when is it going to be your turn? And you may say, well, Joe, I got all these responsibilities. I got kids, I got a husband, I got, a relationship, I got parents I got to take care of, I got all of this stuff. What about all of that? No one said that you have to stop doing those things, because you can't. You can't stop doing it. It's responsibility. And those are your responsibilities, so you have to take control of that. No one's saying that. But you can also be a joy chaser as you're doing those things. And not be on autopilot. And I think most people are on autopilot and they just don't see the opportunity to have joy in their life. But you gotta pause. You gotta pause and say, you know what? I can still have these things and I can still chase after joy in everyday things. Chasing after joy is nothing big and materialistic. First of all, it's eternal. So it's whatever's inside of you. But secondly, it can be in your everyday things. Like this here. You know how much this cost me? I think it was like $5. $5. And I got it. And this brings me joy. And did I take time? You may say, well, I don't have to. Make time. Make time, y'all. Make time to give yourself the opportunity to chase joy. Sipping tea. This is joy. Sitting down reflecting. It's joy. Writing in a journal. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's joy. If you don't have time during the day because you have other responsibilities, take time at night. My house is quiet. You don't hear anything, right? Even when I had kids in the house, around this time, it was quiet. Everybody was in the bed, and Joy had time to chase joy. And I did just that. And I'm a night owl. If you are an early bird, get up early. Chase joy very early in the morning. Go to that mirror, look at yourself and say, good morning, gorgeous. That's joy. go in the morning and read yourself an affirmation. Look, I love who I am, and I'm not going to let anyone take my joy away today. That's chasing joy. In the morning time, make yourself some tea or coffee. Sit down on your couch and just breathe. That's joy. You don't have to be on autopilot. And that's my late night thought. Because I do a lot of people watching now. And I just see people. And they are just truly on autopilot. Just going through the motions of life without even knowing who they are, without believing that they can love themselves, without having to take on the load of everyone else. You can. You can have your load too. I don't have that anymore, but you can. Like I said, I was 48 and my last baby boy, he was in the house still. He was still in here. And I was chasing my joy. In 2011, when I stepped outside that door and I asked God to tell me what my purpose is in life and help me to chase joy, have joy within me, I began to do that. Now that I have some setbacks, I did. Because I went back to autopilot, because that's all I know. It's a habit. But I can say, once you say you're done, you are truly done. And that is where I was. I refused to abandon myself while living my life. I had to take care of me. I can call some friends now and y'all, and they know who I'm talking about. They're probably watching me right now. And everybody's busy. Busy. Don't have time for anything. And I'm not calling to talk and just gossip or whatever. I may just be calling to send a video like, hey, look at that. Because I'm trying to get people to realize that you don't have to be on autopilot or stop being on autopilot. Because the more that you are on autopilot, the more your life feels empty. When you begin to chase joy, you don't feel empty anymore. I don't feel empty. I feel happy. And happy is the external part of joy. That's external. I feel happy about where I am in life. And yeah. Because when you begin to protect your peace and your energy, for you, it becomes your joy. But for others, when they see that, they may say, oh, she's changed, or oh, she's being selfish because she is not giving me all her time anymore. And I want some of that time. Well, that's how people are. That's how people are. And you gotta be okay with that. Because what I'm not going to do is go back to that version of myself that was constantly pouring out and running empty and not being able to give myself that joy. And I believe sometimes people are more comfortable with the version of you that had no boundaries. They're more comfortable with you when you had no boundaries. You know why? Because it benefited them. When you have no boundaries and you like, yes, come on, give it to me. Anything you want, follow the yellow brick road. it's because it's benefiting them. So when you change, it's like, what you doing? You being selfish. Why are you trying to do all of that? And really, they may not be saying that out loud, but that's what they're thinking. Sometimes people are more comfortable with the version of you that had no boundaries. But when you say that you're going to choose joy unapologetically, then it's a different story for them. And you're not choosing your joy because you don't care about the people that you had no boundaries with. You just learn how to manage both sides. You learn how to not be on autopilot. Yeah. You learn how to finally say, no, I don't want to do that. And you really don't realize you're on autopilot until you stop being on autopilot. And that was me. When I finally said, enough is enough, 48, even though 2011 is when the journey began, but 48 is when I was like, that's it. When you finally realize that you're not on it, you're going to look at your life and like, yes, I love my life. And I'm not going back. I'm not going back. Yeah. Y'all, those are my thoughts. I'm happy to be a joy chaser. I love living life and chasing joy through lived experiences. Those lived experiences for me is not materialistic. They are wholeheartedly things that I do every day. I make choices to do the things that I do. And I definitely feel like when you get to this point in life, when you get to loving really who you are and not letting anyone take your joy away, you then want to tell others about it. And that's what I do. I like telling other people about it because I want other people to experience those same things. I want other people to experience life with joy. So yeah, I'm someone who chose joy. Not because everything is perfect, y'all. Because it's not. I have had my times. I told you 2011, I asked the question what my purpose is. From 2011 until I turned 48, I was still up and down, back and forth on autopilot. But I finally made a decision at 48 that I was going to live my life with joy. I learned how to love who I am. Yeah. And that is not easy. I can truly say it's not easy. But when you get intentional about protecting your joy, you then can breathe and love who you are and not let anyone take it away. All right, y'all. This was another late night sitting here doing my hobby, thinking about what I saw all week. And now it's the weekend. I'm like, this is a thought. I need to talk to the joy chasers about this. So, are you a joy chaser? Are you that person who's now chasing joy? And if you are, tell me in the comments. Say, I'm a joy chaser. If you are just beginning your journey, tell me that. Because the journey can be up and down, or it can be smooth sailing once you've made your mind up. Tell us in the comments. We all start somewhere. And what I really want you to realize is that we have been programmed to be on autopilot. We have. And not to look at enjoying life to the fullest. We work so hard from the time you start your journey of working to the time that you expire. You've worked. Unless you choose to say, enough is enough. I need to now live my life. And that's where I am. I'm living life, y'all. So I want to end this by saying, love who you are. Let no one take your joy away. This has been another late night. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made you think. When I do these late nights, I want you to think. So think about what I talked about and start living your life as a joy chaser. All right, y'all. Bye.
Late night thoughts, late night thoughts. I'm not lost, I'm just here. Late night thoughts. Choosing joy, choosing clear. I slow it down, I let it land. I hold my life in open hands. Late night thoughts, and I'm still here. I keep my circle gentle, I keep my edges kind. Not every door is open, not every road is mine. I can love the moment without chasing more. There's enough in the now if I walk through the door. I don't need a loud rush, I don't need a crowd's praise. I can build a soft fire, I can make my own pace. And I come back again. Late night thoughts. I'm not lost, I'm just here. Late night thoughts. Choosing joy, choosing clear. I slow it down, I let it land. I hold my life in open hands. Late night thoughts, and I'm still here. If my heart gets heavy, I let it breathe. I don't force the answer, I just let it see. One small step, one true tone. I can be at home. Late night thoughts. I'm not lost, I'm just here. Late night thoughts. Choosing joy, choosing clear. I slow it down, I let it land. I hold my life in open hands. Late night thoughts, and I'm still